but let's get on to the nuclear energy debate now. And it's front and centre in this country, of course, as we try and head towards net zero. And younger people in this country are less concerned about doomsday Cold War or Chernobyl-style scenarios that are pushed by the anti-nuke campaigners. Will Shackel is an impressive 16-year-old from Brisbane. He started a social media campaign calling for a nuclear energy industry in Australia. You can follow his page. Just jump onto Instagram and search for Nuclear for Australia. He's interviewed a few impressive figures already, including UK-based Green campaigner Xeon Lights, who featured in my doco, Going Nuclear.
And really, I think people like Chris Bowen, in the future generations will look back on people like him as climate criminals, because that's essentially, he's spreading misinformation about nuclear. He's completely opposed to lifting the ban.
She was ripping into our Climate Minister, Chris Bowen there. Let me bring in Will Shackel from Brisbane. Thanks for joining us, Will. Tell us first up, what prompted you to do this? Just set up some pages and start campaigning for nuclear?
Well, first of all, Chris, thank you very much for having me on your show this evening. It's really important that people like you give young people like me a platform to discuss these really important issues. I've always been interested in nuclear energy, and I find it to be one of the only issues that all young people have a consensus on. It is the future. It is the future of energy. It's able to solve our climate change needs. It's environmentally friendly. It's safe. It's economically viable, and it's an abundant source of energy, unlike intermittent solar and wind sources of energy. So I think that's how I really got into it. The catalyst is, of course, as I grow up, I've started to realise that young people have great potential to impact on politics and to create change. And because of that, I felt empowered to start this movement and to start the petition, which I'd encourage all of your viewers to please sign, so we can try and pressure politicians to reverse that current ban on nuclear energy in Australia.
Yeah, well, we'll put your petition up on screen. This is a petition calling on politicians to get rid of the ban on nuclear energy in this country. And we'll actually put up a QR code here that people, if you want to, you can take a photo of this QR code on screen and that'll take you to the petition and you can jump on board. Now, Will, I've spoken to you about possible political connections or agendas, but it seems you're just doing this because you're interested in the issue. You're on the Lord Mayor's Advisory Council for Youth there in Brisbane. Yep. Tell me about your thoughts on this. I mean, most people on the planet want to reduce emissions if we can possibly do it. And most young people certainly agree that we ought to reduce emissions. They're worried about climate change. But young people don't seem to be as scared of nuclear energy as older generations do. Can you explain to us why?
Yeah, and that is alarmingly true. Young people, the majority of them do support nuclear energy. I did a survey where I had quite a lot of responses from around Australia. What it actually found is people aged 10 to 19, not only did 70% of them agree for the ban on nuclear energy to be reversed, but a further 20% wanted to consider it, meaning that there's only 10% of young people who actually oppose it. I think the reason that young people support nuclear energy compared to the older generations is we simply haven't been exposed to some of the misinformation which exists around, those three accidents which you cite, like Chernobyl, 3 Mile Islands and Fukushima, which have been blown way out of proportion. Of course, all energy sources are unsafe to a certain degree. And when you look at the statistics, nuclear is actually, even when considering those three events, the second safest form of electricity generation, meaning it's safer than wind, it's safer than hydroelectric dams, and it's, of course, safer than fossil fuels, which have been estimated to kill millions of people a year from the dangerous pollution that they emit. So when you look at it, if you're arguing on safety, lack of safety in regards to nuclear is no way to justify the ban. And because of that, that's why I'm calling for this action to be made.
Good on you, Will. I admire you get up and go, and the rational arguments you're making. We'll catch up again a little way down the track and see how you're going.
Yes.
Will Shackel there, who started up Nuclear for Australia. Get on board and follow him on Instagram and get onto that petition if you can.